One of the most common failures on newly installed 1 in 2000 series transmissions is charge pump breakage, specifically the inner pump gear. This failure occurs when the transmission is installed and the torque converter is improperly splined to the pump gear. We prepared a cutaway of the torque converter to demonstrate the 3 steps necessary to properly spline the torque converter. The most important step is seating the pump gear to the converter hub. There are 2 flat spots on the inner diameter of the gear that correspond to the flats on the outer diameter of the converter hub. This is the last step of the 3 splines required and also results in irreparable damage to the inner pump gear if not seated properly. In this example, the turbine shaft has been painted yellow and it makes contact with the spline of the converter turbine first. The ground sleeve is painted white and is the second to contact its spline to the stator. Here is an example of both parts splining separately. The last step of splining the converter is the inner pump gear to the converter hub. When the converter is not seated correctly, it may be necessary to draw the 2 housings together with bolts. Or you may not be able to spin the torque converter by hand to line up the bolt holes in the flex plate. These should both throw red flags that indicate something isn't lined up correctly. Pressure from the housings being forced together will often allow the transmission to operate for a short period of time before the failure occurs. When the flat spots eventually line up and the gear drops into its spline, a shock load occurs and the gear breaks. This will cause a zero main pressure condition and the check trans light will illuminate. Oftentimes code P0701 will become active and the oil level of the transmission will not change whether the engine is running or not. If you'd like to make sure that the torque converter is splined correctly before installing, all you need is a straight edge and a tape measure. The converter on the GM bell is inset. Place the straight edge on the mounting surface of the housing and measure to the lug of the torque converter. This measurement should be 1 1/8 inches. The number 3 bell has mounting pads on both sides and measures 17 3/4 inches across. To measure converter location, place the straight edge across 2 of the lugs and measure to the face of the mounting surface. The measurement should be 1.5 inches. The number 2 bell does not have mounting pads and it measures 19 1/4 inches across. Again, measure from the converter lug to the mounting surface. This measurement should be 1 3/8 inches. If the measurement is incorrect for the bell housing you have, place the transmission on a solid surface and re-spline the torque converter as shown. If you have any questions, please visit our website at wellertruck.com or calling 800-872-6697. You can also email info@wellertruck.com.